All right, for today's explainer, we're diving into a really cool idea. What if all those personal quirks you have, the things you wish you could change, weren't actually flaws? What if they were ancient survival strategies and learning to understand them could be your greatest strength?
Okay, so let's jump right in with a question that, well, I'm pretty sure has crossed all of our minds at some point.
You know that feeling, right? You walk into a room, you feel yourself kind of shrinking back, and that little voice in your head just goes, why can't I just be more outgoing? What's wrong with me? Yeah, we treat it like it's this bug in our personal software, something that needs a patch or a fix. But what if that's completely the wrong way to look at it? What if shyness isn't a bug at all? What if it's actually a feature, a really intelligent and protective one?
To really flip this idea on its head, we're going to look somewhere you might not expect, the natural world, for a surprisingly powerful analogy.
So picture this, a deer, right at the edge of a forest. It's curious, it wants to go out into that open meadow and eat, but it's also on high alert, scanning, listening, ready to bolt back into the trees in a split second. And that hesitation, that's not just random fear. No way. It's an absolute masterpiece of risk management.
You see, that deer's cautious approach is what we call an adaptive trait, and it's been shaped by millions of years of pressure from predators. So, what if what we call shyness in us is basically the same thing? A highly effective survival strategy for navigating tricky and uncertain social situations.
So this whole way of thinking, it actually has a name. It's called dual trauma adaptation theory, or DTAT for short. And the core idea is that our behaviors are shaped by two different kinds of pressures. First, the deep evolutionary pressures our entire species faced, and second, the unique psychological pressures from our own individual lives. And this is the idea that reframes those bugs we think we have into these incredibly sophisticated, built-in features.
And get this idea doesn't stop with shyness. It's like opening up a whole library of these ancient survival strategies, all written into our biology and all around us in the natural world.
I mean, just think about it for a second. You've got the intense loyalty and clear hierarchy of a wolf pack. You can kind of see echoes of that in some family dynamics, right? Or the way meerkats take turns on sentry duty, which looks a lot like our own community support systems. Or even the way an elephant matriarch remembers the way to water, guiding her family through droughts. These aren't just cute animal stories. They are literal blueprints for survival.
Okay, now this is absolutely critical to understand. This framework is all about powerful analogies, not literal one-to-one comparisons. This is not saying people are animals, period. Saying someone has a protective strategy like a deer isn't a diagnosis. It's a lens for understanding the why behind the behavior, the function it serves when things get tough.
All right, so with that really important distinction made, let's push this a little further, because this is where you can start to see how powerful this lens can really be. For instance, the theory makes this really fascinating connection. Think about an animal with a really short lifespan. Its whole survival strategy is go, go, go. Grab every opportunity before it's too late. Well, that can look a lot like some of the traits we associate with bipolar II hypomania, like that sudden burst of high energy and rapid-fire thoughts.
And what this really hammers home is that context is everything. That fast activation system could be an incredible asset if you're a creative person on a tight deadline. But in a really stressful environment with no support, that same system can lead straight to burnout. So the trait itself isn't the problem. The problem is the mismatch between that trait and the environment it's in.
Okay, so what do we do with all this? Because understanding where these things come from is one thing. The real goal, the next level, is learning how to use them.
Right, so the goal here isn't to just label yourself like, oh, I'm a deer type. It's about moving from that raw automatic reaction to something the theory calls mastery, which is the ability to use those built-in strategies on purpose, with skill, and at the right time. So think of it like this. First, there's some kind of pressure. That creates an automatic knee-jerk adaptation. The real work is learning to regulate that adaptation, to turn it into a repeatable skill you can call on when you need it, and then to find a place in your life where that skill can really be an asset. It's about turning a raw reflex into a refined superpower.
And all of this, it brings us to this huge and honestly, much more compassionate way of looking at ourselves and our struggles.
This framework basically gives us permission to stop asking that question, what's wrong with me? A question that's almost always loaded with shame. And instead of judging ourselves, we can start from a place of genuine curiosity.
By asking this question instead, you change everything. Suddenly, shyness isn't a flaw, it's your internal security system trying to protect you from getting hurt. That sudden burst of energy isn't chaos, it's a system trying to protect you by making sure you don't miss an opportunity. This simple shift in perspective moves us from shame to understanding, and from seeing problems to seeing potential. And honestly, that might just be the most powerful adaptation of all.